Hello guys and welcome to our channel. This is Roll. In today's video I want to talk about the balance patch update that came on 28th November. It was a very long awaited one because finally Alienate have made a sweep at all ranger bits to fix what need to be fixes from bugs, inconsistencies, and also cooldowns, basic damage stuff, just normalize them to the modern age because many of them was outdated or simply not great. So that have some advantages and disadvantages across the board, and I will be talking in details about them and how does that affect my builds for PvE and World vs World or general choices. So what they did removed many of the bits that simply had no competition. This is the best overall, except I would say for one, which is the turtle. The turtle is the best bit hands down in general, like what you take from it comparing to what you lose if you're running other bits. Simply make it the best, and for a very good reason, that it need to be the best bit, and I'll explain. So for a start bit, the turtle have lost its snap skill, which was a melee skill that would only trigger if she standing next to the enemy. A bite to a single target that will trigger bleed. It was very useless, and even if you merge with a Soulbeast, this is what you have access to with the jet cannon shot and the normal type skill, which is the healing one. So it was very useless to merge with. You only have this skill and you technically have nothing else that worth even time. And the bit itself was run for being tanky and for this hunker down, and in melee it would give you access to slam, which is a CC. Right now it has the same skills, but the snap got changed for heavy shot, which is a long range 1200 range shot that will do some decent damage and 2-second days for 5 targets in the areas that it will land in. So right now, Turtle, one of the bits that have 2 CC skills to break Defiance bar and control the fight in general, which is a maximum for any bit, which make it beautiful. It's tanky, it has the highest health like bears, and it have decent damage, not the highest obviously. It has this projectile field, which the main reason why we use Turtle, and it is a bit for support builds like Druid support. If you run it in any group content, I would run Turtle in general most of the time at least, unless you have it covered for other people that will always have a projectile defense needed or have protection, so maybe you don't need it, but Turtle is just beautiful to run. And even for World vs World, right now you have 2 CC skills, one of them from range, and this one will be cast first, and this only in melee range. Turtle does not follow its target, so it's quite unique in how it works. But it will land this skill, taking enough cast time, and you land the days, and you can use it to CC chain your enemies the same way we used to do when switching from bit to another. If you're melee range, you would count on slam, and if you're melee or in big range, like if you're using short bow or stuff, you would count on Iboga to bolt the enemy toward you. Right now you have an extra CC skill, so it's a minor buff and it's very well. And there is something also you need to pay attention for. It is the only bit that can cast a skill even if it's dead. So if the turtle is dead, you can access hunker down. It doesn't matter if it's alive or dead, it will still cast this field and will leave it stationary and move behind you, which is needed. I think, or my understanding is that Alienate meant for this to be a functionality, and it should be, because this is the only reliable method for having projectile fields that can be controlled by ranger other than staff, and every other support build would have so many of them, like guardians in general, allies in general, so we needed our own, and you either run untamed to have the maximum amount of projectile denial field, but mostly Alienate want us to be support on Druid because the alacrity now on Druid only and stuff. So you needed this, and you're not supposed to be punished. It's enough that you're punished, you don't access the CC, you don't access the bits that do your damage or stuff, but to lose it completely will not work, especially if you're running in a Zerg, which means a bit will melt in seconds because it's low position, it can't cleanse itself. So you always need to be accessing this on simple cooldown like it's a normal utility skills. And that is beautiful and can be utilized even in PvE very well. We will get to it when we comparing to our bit choices. So Turtle, because it simply made everything better. If you're playing in PvE, if you're playing World vs World, for my Druid, for my Untamed, for Soulbeast, it simply made every build better. Obviously Turtle is still with us, it's still as tanky and as good and even buffed. Now things change when we move to other bits. So Jacaranda was the stable for all bits or all builds unless I don't need it. For my Soulbeast in PvE, for example, I run Bristleback. And I'm still running Bristleback. It's a bit that will support your condition and play monthly condition, and it have high toughness, decent vitality, I would say, so it can still tank for me. I can still use it while merged, and I can switch to Turtle to have access to healing and 2 CCs on merging with a Soulbeast now. So if I merge with the Turtle right now, I can do the daze from range, and I can do slam to hit everyone around me. And I can still have healing, so I can have huge amount of Defiance bar break simply by accessing the Turtle, combining with other skills that I can do, a Child of Earth or stun from shortbow or whatever. That's made very valuable, and if I switch to Bristleback, I would have access to higher condition stats and all its nice skills. So this didn't change. Bristleback is still optimal for this build. However, for my Untamed and my Druid, things can be a bit changing. So for Druid, Jacaranda and Turtle. Turtle is the same, and I would say Jacaranda is still the same. See, the Immobilize from Jacaranda, the roots are the only skill for any bit that will count after it land like its own, your own activation to trigger what you need. For example, the roots or the Immobilize will trigger Blood Moon on Druid, and the vulnerability will trigger the Relic of Aristocracy. It's like your own vulnerability that land from it, and it count like it's in a flank position in a way. So it is very valuable when you running that Relic, even if you can trigger it without it, and in a Defiance bar boss you will always be stacking them simply by Sigil of Reality that we use on the build in our weapons. However, it is more useful to have it. And you can't really give up 4 stacks of Blood Moon from these skills on Druid like for no reason. And it has the fastest cleave in a way. It's only on 3 target, but it is on a 10-second cooldown and can keep cleaving different enemies. So why we are questioning Jacaranda in general? Because Jacaranda got her health nerfed well significantly. It have now higher healing power. It got quite weird changes, if I'm correct. So it's still tanky, have higher toughness than you, it still have decent vitality, I would say. It have some strong healing abilities that can even cleanse condition from herself, so it can sustain herself well, but it is a bit weaker. So it can die much easier than she used to. However, it's still a tanky bit, so it's still a decent choice, which why most of the time I would be running Jacaranda as my normal choice, so it didn't change. However, like I said, that means Jacaranda will be dying easier. But there is so many other bits that became better, so they don't fall out of favor completely now. For example, the Polar Bear. So the Polar Bear, if you're especially on a free-to-play account, this is one of the best, if not the best tanky bit you can run. Why? Because the skill you control, the Beast ability right now, will give you 3 seconds stun to 5 targets around it, in a very good radius, 360, with also 3 seconds or more of chill to prevent the Defiance bar from regenerating while using your other skills to completely break it. And it is a bear, the highest health ball with a decent toughness, so it's very well survivable bit. And even Defy Bane for all the bears became on 30-second cooldown only, and also the bite skill would do more significant healing so the bear can sustain itself. I have tested many other bits because of the changes. For example, the Moas became a bit decent, even how they apply their heal. You can have Daze from this one, you can have Frost Aura from this one to tank even a bit easier. But in the general rule, I always follow in a solo build in open world. I don't use a bit that cannot tank for me. Even if I'm running something like Untamed, which is very survivable, that you don't even need a bit to tank for you, and whenever you need it, you can simply switch to Turtle, and Turtle have insane level of survivability that you can even come back to the bit when you need. But what if I don't want to run something like Restorative Strike? What if I'm doing something more easy like meta fights and stuff, not simply soloing legendaries, and I want to run let loose, even if I want to run it even while soloing legendaries and stuff like that, then my survivability will be much less than it used to be, which means I need a bit to tank for me. So something like the MOAs, even something like very reliable now for damage like a Mighty Roar, which half a second that give you a lot of might with the bit itself doing some decent damage, it's not optimal because the bit will not tank for you. And even if the bit's not the target, a weak bit like this will die easily, can be cleaved in burning fields from enemies and stuff like that. And if you're in range and have to keep running around a boss and far from it you need to kite, the bit will be stuck in melee and you will not get the boons. So you would have to micromanage it by come to me and attack my target. So it's not reliable, or at least annoying to run it perfectly. That's why I don't really enjoy builds like this or bits like this. Even you can say you're already running Jakaranda and you want the same thing, but Jakaranda generally you would switch to it either for the CC or to survivability, so it will be immediately next to you. It will not be constant bits that you don't swipe from that easily. So generally I always choose a tanky bit. And for that I also looked at the drakes. For example, this one, the fire drake, have some of the highest damage now possible, but it doesn't have a CC. So it's not really that optimal to break defense bar fast and like work with me. Even so, it's tanky with high health, with high damage, it is quite well. We need to choose the bits not only for damage, not only for tanking, it's everything they can offer. This one can offer weakness, a blast finisher that you can utilize with a fire field even for more might, but it didn't feel really worth the investment to simply have a bit that doesn't have any CC on it. And something also worthy of mention, a change similar to weakening Jakaranda or making it not the best or most optimal bit, something also done the same for the smoke scale. So smoke scale now have lost its takedown, it's not a CC anymore, it's simply damage. It has the cooldown, it's just a hit, I guess. It made it similar to running something like the wolves, and even have less damage. As you can see, the wolf would do cripple and damage on a 10-second cooldown with a quarter of a cast time, while smoke scale have less damage, longer cast time, and lower cripple duration. The only thing going for it is a better range, so I think this skill need to be a bit adjusted. The bit have no CC on it, and most people would still have to use it if they run a build that count on this stealth and stuff, but they won't have the follow-up with smoke assault takedown from the bit and from the merge. So that was a heavy change or a heavy nerf to smoke scale. Also things that worthy of mention, this bit is still, as you can see, has the same bug with that it doesn't respond immediately once you go to it. It's the same bugs that happened to all bits with the release of End of Dragon, and when they finally made another bit after the one that came with the Secret of the Obscure, it has this bug now. So that's very annoying, but if you're playing something like Untamed, you will stick to it unless you need to defend yourself, so you would move to Turtle. So this problem will not really be a big deal since you will always be on the shark, but the shark have lower toughness. Even so, if everything else is perfect, high damage, CC, good cleave, really good cleave, on a 20-second cooldown but up to 5 targets, so it's quite decent. So the shark is one of the good options in my opinion, but it still has this bug. Another mention of a bug is Rug Gazelle. Rug Gazelle got changed that this skill will only move it until it hit a target and it will not go far after the target itself. However, if it triggered inside the hitbox of the target, it will not do damage. Let me show you. So right now we're doing damage. As you can see, it did damage, but now it stands in it. So if we use it right now, as you can see, it did nothing. And that is quite a very bad bug, especially on how it moves, that it will always get inside the target hitbox. So it's a weird bug, but it's just there, I guess. Which why Rug Gazelle is quite the bad option right now, because this skill will not land many times. And also something changed to become very good, and it is a good choice that you can replace Jakaranda for it if you want. It have a cleave on a 20-second cooldown, so again, not like Jakaranda, 10-second only, but it's up to 5 targets. And if you combo it with a CC, so if you hit this skill while you used the exploding spores or used something like the Warhorn 5, it will double the duration of the poison, which is a decent mechanic, I guess. It's a combo field, so if you blast inside it, so if you always time Call of the Wild, or most of the time if you have or you can, you will apply weakness for more than actually, not only the Warhorn, you will apply it for the blast finisher, you will get the longer poison duration, you still have a very good CC on it for multiple targets and good damage. The bad side is this, and it takes a while to come back. So if you control the CC to land only when you really need it, the bit becomes very reliable with high toughness, very decent vitality. It's quite good bit in general, and it's really cute if you look at it, so it's very tempting to use, honestly. And also all the bears now have a fixed thing to find, like this one find a rock, another one find a greatsword, someone finds a scale, stuff like that. They don't share the cooldown, so you can run even multiple bigs for any build that you want, but obviously those bits are very useless for a build like that. Even if they have the CC, even if they have the damage, they are not great. This is just a waste of skill at this point. Something also worthy of mention, since we're using it actually in World vs. World, is Lash-Tail Devourer. So right now it used to have on its auto attack a chance of like 15%, if I remember correctly, to trigger poison. It's a double projectile, always casted. Right now it's always will bleed. It's a very low damage, it's much lower in World vs. World obviously, but it's reliable, it's annoying, you will keep your enemy in combat simply by stacking bleed on them, and it will do decent damage, so it's much better than it used to. It have significantly more damage in how it worked right now, but it's quite slow. Like this skill, for example, take like 4 seconds casting, so it's a very strong one with some survivability, some CC, but it's slow, it's lower damage, so why run it even over Jakaranda? But like I said, in World vs. World it became a bit more decent. Also, wolves and birds have some changes to them, like birds for example have the skill remove embedding condition. If you're playing Untamed, because you will have control over it when exactly to work, or if you're running a Soulbeast because of the merge version. But if you run any other ranger, well, it's good only if you ever got use from it, but other than that it will do swiftness with the bit control, so you're not the one that control it, but I guess it is a change. So you will always have the wiki to go through every detail, or you can check them in the game for every bit, what it changed, or the numbers, or stuff like that. And to summarize in general, right now, Jakaranda, it still would probably be the most comfortable bit and still tanky enough to run it even with the current changes. It is still necessary for Druid, it's still effective with Aristocracy Relic, however it got nerfed. Turtle on the other hand got buffed, and it is even much better than it used to. And for underwater right now, in PvE I'm using Shark and Polar Bear because of the stun capabilities. So it's very reliable to have 2 bits that actually can do this very huge CC, like the Shark and the Bear, and very tanky to cover for you since we don't have this much CC underwater anyway. And it is in like a bubble, so it's easier to land in a bit. As you can see, I'm in the water right now, which is very nice to have. And on the Shark, you would have 2 skills that actually can CC, which is the one that fear, and this one actually pushes the target backward even if it's not shown on the tooltip, so you have 2 CC skills on the Shark. Now let's talk about my World vs. World changes, or how that affect my build in general. We have explained that you have now access to more CC in Soulbeast when you merge with the Turtle, how Turtle generally is much better. Jakaranda is still stuck with on Druid, and still one of the best choices to run with Untamed, because of the fast cleave, because of the root triggering the relic, and it's actually a CC, and the bit still tanky enough and can heal itself. And that also work even with the power Soulbeast, power Untamed, because the cleave will help you get force fortification of cooldown faster. But you don't have to use it, there is many other choices that you can run any of them depending on what you think is best for your build or what you enjoy more. It's not simply set in stone that you can run. You can run the bear, you can run a bit for damage, you can run the wallow, it's up to you. Now let's talk about World vs. World. So I already explained how much turtles that actually became much useful. If we order her to attack, immediately it will go to the daze. It is the first hit it will land if it's already off cooldown, which means it's very reliable in a CC combo. When you switch to it, this will be a choice. If it's a melee, it could trigger slam first, so it will always land a CC after another. It's as simple as that. The same way you switch to Jakaranda, to Iboga, to trigger a CC and keep your enemy stuck between immob, daze, or at least out of control completely. It can't cast and you keep interrupting it. The same thing will work with Turtle right now. With the bubble, with how tanky it is just beautiful. Now, Iboga also had quite the change. It's generally a nerf, but it won't really affect us this much. And it is still, even PvE, and probably the highest DPS build, the highest DPS bit. So that cast projectile, that single projectile that have right now, it got adjusted fuse numbers in it, and it have double the cooldown. So as you can see in the notes, they increased the cooldown from 5 to 10, the bar coefficient from 0.1 to 0.3, so double twice in PvE, and once from 1 to 2 in World vs. World and PvP. And also the duration from 10 to 6, so it's lower. In competitive, increased the confusion duration from 2 seconds to 3. Like I said, it's quite the miss. And they increased the velocity, so made it a bit easier to land. So that's why I said it still feel as reliable as it used to. It's not really that big of a deal. It will not be hitting it as constantly, but it is at least quite decent. And Consume Bite, the skill that it increases its damage based on the amount of conditions on the enemy, every unique type, so up to 13 condition or whatever. That means it will increase it for those 13. Is now maximum of 5 conditions on the target, which means as a druid for roaming, you will most of the time hit the max normally and easily, I guess. But that's obviously a tiny bit of a nerf. But they increase the condition, increase the bar coefficient in PvE bare minimum, like the normal, without the addition on condition, like the skill itself, and reduced the one on every condition that will take. So it is, like I said, they are normalizing the damage. They don't want the spikes on bits become more of a utility and adding to the build more than actual simply reliable tool for damage. We've seen this trend for years now in the game, like when we used to have 10k, 20k on like crazy single hits number on Bristol bags, bugs that used to exist as in gazelle on hitting multiple times. Those heavy hitting numbers are becoming adjusted comparing to what the bit itself can do, what it can offer. Now the good change for us is Necrotic Spores. This skill now is an ethereal field. So if you blast finisher in it, you will, like from Staff 3 or from Lunar Impact on Sissy Avatar, you will get, you and your bit or everyone inside it, so the bit obviously probably in it too, you will get Chaos Aura. So you will end up taking a boon for when the enemy hit you, a random one. So you will get Protection, Regeneration or Swiftness, and the enemy will get Weakness, Confusion or Cripple on every hit. It will be for about 3 seconds, so if the enemy keep hitting in it, it will probably trigger only 3 times. But it is quite decent. And good to have, I guess. But the skill itself is still quite the same. So that's how it looks. My very slow bit coming from far. And as you can see, I have Zara on me. And also don't worry, because as you can see, I didn't get the aura if I timed it with Seed of Life. So if you want to use another combo field inside it, it will trigger the other combo, which is very nice to have. You can still have your cleansing from Sissy Avatar and ignoring the field if you need to, or you can blast in the field and get the effect. It will not simply miss your field because the bit triggered a field at random and you would lose the extra cleanse in case you needed it or something like that. No, it will be quite effective and it will work exactly the same. And as you can see, another healing area, not Chaos Aura. So it is reliably, if you want to use the field once it lands, you can use it. If you don't, you will do your rotation completely and perfectly. You will have access to higher healing from the combo field or even condition cleanse. It will not mess with your field use. So that's it for the video. Tell me if I missed anything or if you have any different opinions on what bits you should run or stuff like that. Tell me in the comments and I will be seeing you next time. Peace.